Hey, do you want to see my shiny Lotad impression?
No?
Well, here it is anyways. What's up, trainers? It's Moose Punk here, coming correct, bringing you your favorite moose knuckle. Pound it. Now, what exactly is a moose knuckle, you may be wondering? Oh, well, that's actually the male version of a camel toe. Now, before we get into it, I do want to say a little bit of a disclaimer. This episode is a little bit different than the ones I've done previously. I would say it has about a PG-13 rating due to a little bit of sexual references, as well as references to the infamous stoner comedy Cheech and Chong.
Hijo de la chingada. Is that a joint, man?
So if you're under the age of 13, just make sure to ask a parent or guardian permission to watch this further. Now, let's get right into it. So this video, of course, covers the release of shiny Lotad, as well as the release of shiny Castform in Pokemon Go. Castforms are going to be shiny, spawning all over the place in the wild, and the only way that you can actually get a shiny Lotad is through the research tasks, available from 11 o'clock till 8 p.m. that day. Personally, I was very excited for this event because that whole entire week I've been getting super lucky. So one of these days on my way to work, I've been actually using the Go Plus a lot, and after I checked my inventory, guess who pops up? Bam! Shiny Rattata! Ooh, I love the Rattata shiny. It looks like a little zombie rat or something, and quite appropriate, I named it Ratatafink after the nasty old Ratfink. Now, a couple days later, when I opened up my special research tasks, bam! Pops out a shiny turkey. Amazing. The only thing better than a shiny Pokemon is a shiny legendary Pokemon. Then, on the morning of the event, as I was going to work, guess who I find in the wild? Bam! Shiny Misdreavus. Dang, now that's a really cool looking Pokemon. It's a ghost type, it's nice and green. Love it. So obviously I was super excited for this event. I was really hopeful that my luck would carry over. Does it? I guess we'll have to find out. So let's get right into it and do some research tasks. Whew. So, right as the research started, I actually had to work till about 1 p.m. Right as I got out, the first or second research tasks, bam! Comes out a shiny Lotad. Unbelievable, got one so quickly. So while I talk a little bit about the shiny Lotad, I'm gonna go ahead and pull him up on the screen here, and let's go ahead and catch him in AR Plus mode for you guys. Whew. So obviously, event's going crazy well, but I do want to mention that shiny Lotad did create a little bit of a controversy, especially on Twitter. A lot of people, including myself, saw the connection between what a shiny Lotad looks like and Mr. Popo. Now, if you know who Mr. Popo is, he's actually a character from Dragon Ball Z. And a lot of us watch anime, and a lot of us instantly saw the connection. So a lot of posts started coming up, like this one right over here, by Kaito Nolan. And by the way, make sure to check out her channel. She does a massive amount of raids, actually with her son too. Really cool YouTube channel. I'll post it up here, link in the description. So that was an example of what people were posting. And at first glance, you might be offended by that. Now, honestly, there might be some validity to, being a little bit of upset, because Mr. Popo, I do believe he is a commentary on blackface. Now, I'm not going to give you a history lesson on what blackface is, but I do think that Mr. Popo is a reference to that. So it got kind of all screwy-dewy, and a lot of people were sort of getting upset. But, I think that just teaches us a lesson as trainers, not to jump to conclusions. Bam, we got our first shiny Lotad right away. So let's just keep doing that special research. The research tasks are very easy to do. And obviously, the best thing to do on days like this is to triple up on your research. So, get 3 of the same research tasks. That way, instead of having to do, for example, 9 throws to complete 3 tasks, you're only gonna have to do 3 throws to complete all 3 tasks. Shiny Castform in itself is another controversial Pokemon. Now, you can say that my mind's in the gutter, but hey, to me and to a lot of other people, it just looks like a frickin' shiny nutsack. Come on. So instead of being a shiny Castform, I actually named it Shiny Testes Formed. Now, while I show you some of my more memorable catches of the shiny nutsacks in AR Plus mode, I'll actually tell you my favorite joke, which also relates to nutsacks, and is taken from Cheech and Chong. So we're gonna sort of full circle with this joke. A family vacation to Mexico. And you know, they're there in one of those all-inclusive packages where they have to stay at the resort. So the father starts getting bored. Now I wanna see what the real Mexico is like. So he does just that. He goes explore some ruins, some villages, but you know, he gets sort of caught up and doesn't know what time it is, forgets to watch. So pretty nearby, he sees a farmer sitting next to his donkey. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna go ask him what time it is. So he walks up to this farmer and he says, "Hey, señor, ¿qué hora es?" You know, what time is it? And the farmer says, no problem, señor, no problem. So what the farmer does is he grabs the donkey by the nuts, squeezes them, lifts them up, puts them back down, and he says, well, it's 4:20. The guy's thinking, what the hell? You know, must be too much of this caliente sun. This guy's gone loco. So he goes on, you know, 5 minutes later, he actually finds someone with a watch, asks them what time it is, 4:25. What? That would mean that the farmer's statement was fairly accurate. So since the guy is still bored, still has nothing to do, he decides, all right, I'm gonna go back to the same village. Now this time I'm gonna disguise myself a little bit. I'm gonna bring a watch just to verify on spot, you know, how this guy can tell the time by grabbing the donkey's nuts. So he goes to the same place. Sure enough, same scenario. Farmer is sitting next to the donkey. So he walks up and he says, hey, what time is it? Now the farmer grabs the donkey by the nuts, squeezes them, lifts them up, puts them back down, and he says, oh, it's like 5:13. All right, now this time the guy just looks at his watch, 5:13 on the spot. How could that be? So the guy says, you know what, to be honest with you, I was here yesterday. You know, you told me that it was 4:20 by touching the donkey's nuts. I'm here again, and it's exactly 5:13 to the minute. You gotta tell me how you're doing this. I mean, how are you telling the time simply by grabbing the donkey's nuts? And the farmer says, well, it's actually very simple. All you gotta do is this. So the farmer grabs the donkey by the nuts, squeezes them, lifts them up, and he says, you see that clock over there on the barn? Classic. I had so many shiny nutsacks that I can literally teabag 3 large families sitting together at the dinner table at the same time. +1. I mean, these nuts were frickin' everywhere. All shaved and polished for your suckling pleasure. So I've never seen an event like this before where there were so many spawns and so many of those spawns were actually shiny. Shortly after, I set off on a personal journey to uniquely name each and every one of my shiny nutsacks with synonyms for the word testes, testicles, nuts, balls, ball sack, sweaty sack, scrotum, genitalia, D's nuts, dangle charms, rankin stinks, and UTS's, clap sack, huevos, Jorge, big loaders, hang nuts, and gonads. Unfortunately, unlike my really great pleasure with these shiny nuts, I was not so lucky as far as the Lotad research. Trainers, I grinded the whole entire time. I did well over 100 research tasks, and this was literally the most painful day in Pokemon Go that I have ever played. Can you imagine that, you know, I got my first shiny Lotad initially, and then 100 research tasks, over 100. I want to say 150. Non-shiny, non-shiny, non-shiny. I was so sick and tired of looking at those Lotad lips. By the end of the event, I ended up with one shiny Lotad. And I know that I'm not alone because a lot of other trainers, you know, had a similar thing happen where they didn't even catch one. You know, so I guess I was lucky to get the one, but I really wanted the 3. So Abe 1204 ended up trading me 2 more of those shiny Lotads so I can have the complete collection. Can't thank you enough. Those were some really good trades, and he found the kindness in his heart to trade me some of those. So I was actually able to get, you know, all 3 for the collection, which is really nice because that's exactly what I wanted. So now in my collection, I have Mr. Popo, and then let's go ahead and evolve the Lotad into its next forms. Because you're probably still thinking to yourself, well, what the hell does all this have to do with Cheech and Chong?
Hey, man. Am I driving okay?
I think we're parked, man.
To me, the first evolution of Lotad, that looks like Cheech. So check out this rendition. I mean, you can't tell me that that doesn't look like Cheech. Let's go ahead and evolve Lombre into its next evolution, which is of course the Ludicolo. And to me, that looks like none other than Chong. And you know, I couldn't have been the only one thinking the same thing, because when I went ahead to rename him to Chong, inappropriate text. Thanks, Niantic. I'm sure they were thinking the same thing. So what I had to do was pull a moose punk, and instead of the O's, I had to actually just change it to a 0, and then I got exactly the name that I wanted. So bam! Thanks to Abe 1204. By the way, check out his YouTube channel. Link up here, link in the description. He has some really cool videos, so make sure to show him some love on my behalf. I ended up with the whole collection of Mr. Popo. I got Cheech, I got Chong, and I was so glad that that event was over. For the last 3 hours, I had to pee like a race donkey, and I was also starving. I haven't eaten anything all day, but I just wanted to keep grinding because I only had the one the whole time. But you know, I finally gave up at 7:30, and I couldn't do it half an hour more. Hey, let me know in the comments down below, how did you do? How many shiny Lotads did you get? How many shiny testes form did you get? And you know, I also forgot to mention that I did get 100% Lotad, which is pretty decent because Ludicolo is actually a fairly meta-useful Pokemon in the game. All in all, I kind of enjoyed the event. The research tasks were really easy to complete. I just wish that the shiny rates for Lotad were a little bit boosted. I mean, if they were boosted up like 25%, that everybody was actually able to get at least 3, I think that would have been a lot cooler. Now these are some very exciting times in Pokemon Go. There are so many really cool events coming out. We got the Bug Out event coming out. The next form of Giratina is currently available in raids. We had that little mini event where Pikachu would photobomb instead of Smeargle when using your Pokemon Go camera. You know, Groudon is back in raids due to that Earth cleanup event. The next community day is going to be Bagon, and keep a lookout for me in the very, very near future. Peace out, fellow nutsack lovers. Up in smoke is where I like to be, 'cause when I'm high, the world below don't bother me. I take a toke and all my cares go up in smoke. Up in smoke is where my money goes. In my lungs and sometimes up my nose. I take a toke and all my cares go up in smoke.